Welcome to another episode. In this episode, the question is, in what space is contained? For example, if we think of space as a container, it will have another container. It is included in another container, which is in another container. Like that, it will go on. So my question is there any limit of these containers? I mean space or such things. So the questioner says if space is contained in a container and there are another container which contains this container and so on, is there a limit to it for this? So we will answer this question. Your thinking is in the right perspective. Take it to the extreme. One container in another, which is in another. This is in a room. Of course, all these containers are in a room, which is in the house. And all this is in the earth. Earth in the sky. Sky in the Milky Way galaxy. Galaxy in the universe. Universe in ether, etc. This goes on infinitely. So there is no beginning and end. Siddhas call this Vettavali in Tamil, which means infinite space. And by the way, my Kura space is called Vettavali. And my website is the Vettavali, infinite space. That's what I have given. Which means the infinite space. Yes, there is no beginning or no end. Like your soul, which has no beginning and end. And when the ego is gone, it is merged with this infinite space, infinite consciousness, which has no beginning and no end. Psychologically, we create space between ourselves and another. That is actually not there. That is created by thought. Time and space are vast subject. We shall see a few things. The fabric of the cosmos. The fabric of the cosmos, space, time, and the texture of reality by Brian Greene. From this we will see a quote. For example, on the perplexing question of whether completely empty spaces like a blank canvas, a real entity or merely an abstract idea. We follow the pendulum of scientific opinion as it swings between Isaac Newton's 17th century declaration that space is real and Ernest Mach's conclusion in the 19th century that it is not, and Einstein's 20th century dramatic reformulation of the question itself, in which he merged space and time and largely refuted Mach. We then encounter subsequent discoveries that transform the question once again by redefining the meaning of empty, envisioning that space is unavoidably suffused with what we call quantum fields, and possibly diffuse uniform energy called a cosmological constant. Modern echoes of the old and discredited notion of the space filling ether. What is more, we then describe how upcoming space-based experiments may confirm particular features of Mach's conclusions that happen to agree with Einstein's general relativity, illustrating well the fascinating and tangled web of scientific development. According to special relativity, no longer can space and time be thought of as an universal concept, set in stone, experienced identically by everyone. Rather, space and time emerged from Einstein's reworking as malleable constructs whose form and appearance depend on one's state of motion. Not only are space and time influenced by one's state of motion, but they can warp and curve in response to the presence of matter or energy. Such distortions to the fabric of space and time, as we shall see, transmit the force of gravity from one place to another. Space and time, therefore, can no longer to be thought of as an inert backdrop on which the events of the universe play themselves out, rather through special and then general relativity. They are intimate players in the events themselves. Then we will see from Awakening of Intelligence from J.Krishnamurti. As soon as we use that word dimension, which implies space, otherwise there is no dimension. There is no space. Are we talking about space? Outward space? Endless space? Is there a difference between the outer space, which is limitless, and the space in us? Is there a difference? Or there is no space in us at all, and we only know the outer space? We know the space in us as the center and circumference, the dimension of that center, and the radiation from the center is what we generally have and call that space, because we only know this very limited space, and we think we would like to reach the other space, having an immense space. This house exists in space, otherwise there could be no house. And the four walls in this room make space, and the space in me is the space in which the center has created around itself. Like that microphone, space exists because of what? Look, the center is the observer. Let's call him the observer for the moment, the thinker, the experiencer, the knower, the struggler, the searcher, the one who says I know and you don't know, is the center, right? Where there is a center, it must have a space around itself, and when it observes through the space. When I observe those mountains, there is space between me and the mountains, and when I observe myself, there is space between me and the thing I observed in myself. When I observe my wife, I observe her with the center of my image about her, and she observes me with the image which she has about me. So there is always this division and space. So here he is talking about psychological space. Though he explains a little bit about the physical space, mostly he talks about the psychological space, the center we create, and the circle of space around it, which we differentiate from the universal space. Actually, it is one with the universal space, but we create a center, the ego creates a center, thoughts create a center, and a space around it, which separates us from another, the image. So next we will see an extract from Inner War and Peace by Osho. But the walls are not the room. The empty space within the four walls is the room. The English word room is good. It means an empty space. The very word room means an empty space. But we are not able to see the empty space. Even the idea of an empty space does not occur to us because we don't have any awareness of it. Actually, the empty space has always been so much around us that we have never felt the need to see it. It is the same as this vast sky, this space stretching out to infinity, this empty space expanding into endlessness with no boundary or limits, neither beginning nor ending anywhere. Remember, anything that is emptiness can neither begin nor end anywhere. Only fullness caused by things can have a beginning and an end. Emptiness cannot have a beginning or an end. What could be the beginning and the end of emptiness of a room be? Yes, the walls have a beginning and an end. The things in the room have a beginning and an end. But the space does not have any boundaries. Sky means that which is limitless. This infinite space that you see all around is truth, reality. And within this infinity, all that appears, all that is created and wither away is untruth, unreal. A tree comes into the world, and for some time the empty space is filled with greenery. Flowers blossom, and for a while the empty space is filled with fragrance. Then the flowers wither away. The the tree topples down and the empty space carries on being wired to us. But in fact, even when the tree was there and the flowers were blossoming, there was no difference in the emptiness. It remained the same. Concepts of space, time and consciousness in ancient India Vaishvasika. You will see from that. There are three types of space: the psychological space, the physical space, and the infinite space of consciousness. The infinite space of undivided consciousness is that which exists in all, inside and outside. The finite space of divided consciousness is that which created the divisions of time, which pervades all beings. The physical space is that in which the elements exist. The latter two are not independent of the first. Other universes, wormholes I saw within the rock, the edge of the universe, the creation, sustenance, and the dissolution of the universe. I saw innumerable creations in the very rocks that I found on the hill. In some of this creation was just beginning, others were populated by humans, still others were far ahead in the passage of their times. I perceived within each molecule of air a whole universe. The universe exists in infinite consciousness. Infinite consciousness is unmanifest, though omnipresent even as space, though existing everywhere, is manifest. The manifestation of the omnipotence of the infinite consciousness enters into alliance with time, space, and causation. Thence arise infinite names and forms. So with these assertions, we will end this episode. I hope you understood about space. Space is infinite. It has no beginning and end. Anything you think of as space, like a room, house, or anything, extrapolate to the extreme. You will see it is infinite. So that is the same space which is within us. We are limited by ego, with a center of I and a space surrounding it. Actually, it is one with the infinite space. So with this, we are ending this episode. Stay with me for another episode. Subscribe to my channel. Thank you.